Okay. I think we're live. Okay. Cool. All right, so welcome to the first of many, I hope, live UX audits that I will be doing, mostly in an attempt to just get more in front of the camera and give you a little bit of insight into my process and just who I am and, you know, how I sort of go through the internet. And today, my good friend Sam has offered to be the guinea pig for the very first UX audit. And just to give you a little bit of context, if you're unfamiliar with the terminology, UX is just shorthand for user experience. And so the reason that I'm doing these is because my background is in web design. Obviously, I specialize in WordPress and SEO now, so this kind of all fits together in a way that I understand the back end and the front end and how everything needs to work together in order to help you actually accomplish whatever goals it is that you set out to achieve with your website. And I wanted to pick Sam's website in particular because I know a lot of the people who follow me either are freelancers themselves, solopreneurs, or even agencies where, you know, it's slightly different in terms of how you're going to go about getting clients, but it's still the same idea in that, you know, you're trying to communicate your expertise in a way that compels somebody to get in touch and eventually hire you. So I picked Sam's website because she's kind of still in the development stages, and it's kind of funny. Before today, we were talking, and she's like, "Oh, I'm going to make some changes and make sure it looks good before you go live and talk about it." But I told her that it'd probably be better if we just went with it the way it is right now for kind of maximum input or impact. So without further ado, I'm going to switch to the view where you can see me and then you can see the website too. And I'm using a new software tool, so we'll see how good it actually is. It's called Ecamm Live. So if you are somebody who wants to go live in the future and be able to schedule those lives, which is what I did with this, you have to use a third-party tool. OBS is another one. It's free. This one, I think it was like $75, but either way, you need to have a tool, and I kind of liked the user interface of this one better. So let's go ahead and go through Sam's website. Sam, this is going to be a little bit of tough love here, but hopefully it will benefit your business as a result. I'm just going to pull this over a little bit here. I'm going to try to make it so you guys can see everything that I'm talking about. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about is the idea of using the homepage as like a placeholder for your blog post, where you can either customize the homepage or you know, you can have it display your latest blog post. That's kind of a standard WordPress feature. And so what Sam did is she is displaying her latest blog post, which in some ways makes sense because she just went on an awesome European trip with her boyfriend and has a lot of great insights to share. I actually really love these overlays when you hover over the images, and it has like a little icon here. So Sam, I'm going to be asking you about that after because I think that's cool. But the one problem that I'm noticing, at least in terms of these latest blog posts, is that they're not about marketing. So Sam is a B2B marketer. She mentions in the header here, or the header area here, that she's a digital and social media marketer, but that's not necessarily reflected by these current blog posts. So, you know, if she publishes some new stuff, that might overtake this. But again, her homepage is kind of at the mercy of whatever she published lately. So one thing that I might suggest here is instead customizing the homepage to focus on the specific services that she offers, different digital marketing services, social media. She also does some web stuff, so maybe having call outs for each of those. Having some sort of hero image, maybe in fact featuring Sam in it, just so that people know that when they work with her, they can kind of start to get that initial introduction to who she is as a person, you know, the human behind the brand. And then, you know, summarizing kind of what she's saying here, which is just what she does, and making that maybe more of a feature of the website. So, and then I might also suggest that this becomes full width instead of having a sidebar here at that point, maybe saving the sidebar for things like blog posts or potentially on her about page and things like that, just depending. One thing I would also say here in terms of social feeds, Sam's hit the nail on the head in terms of making sure that her platforms are represented. I think especially as somebody who offers social media marketing services, you want to kind of prove to people that you're actually, that you practice what you preach. And so she's done that well here. The one thing I will say is I tend to prefer, especially for a B2B marketer, having like a Twitter feed maybe instead of an Instagram feed, just because Instagram for most people is kind of more of like your personal outpost, and obviously Sam has a lot of great pictures here of her life and the things that she's doing and her dog, and it's a great way to get to know her. It might even be something that would be a really good fit for the About page, but for your general sidebar, I would prefer to see a social feed that's more relevant to the work you do. Again, because the goal, after all, is we want to get people to work with us, right? That's what these portfolio websites are for. Another thing that Sam does really well is she has her email opt-in right here, very prominent before you even scroll. So what's known as above the fold, kind of like a newspaper, before you kind of shake it out and read it. Things that are above the fold are the things that tend to get read the most. So she did a great job here. One thing that I would say is that you always want to customize your opt-in language. You want to sort of tempt people into joining your list. So, Sam, I would challenge you to think of what things you could say in order to get somebody to want to sign up, talk about the different things you're going to share on your blog, would people be on your email list be eligible for special promotions or, first notice of certain offers? Do you have maybe some sort of lead magnet that you could offer people for free, some sort of, PDF putting together something you're knowledgeable on? Those are things that I would suggest for that specific opt-in, but otherwise I like the content on the sidebar, minus some of the changes I've said. So let's get off the home page. I won't spend too much time on, like every single page. The home page is really one of the most important, so that's why I spent this much time on it so far. Actually, one more thing I would say if you're redesigning your homepage is I'd love to see a little bit of social proof. Sam works for a lot of awesome brands. She has a lot of great experience, so maybe just adding like a logo cloud just to show off those brands from a very easily understood visual perspective. So it's kind of like instantaneous, like people who land here can see, Sam's worked with all these great brands. I should work with her too because she's already been vetted by them. And also, I might also recommend repurposing testimonials from LinkedIn so you have some sort of context to the work that you've done with those different brands. Text that just shows what it's like, what the process to work with her is like, etc. So let's look at the About page, just because I think when you're talking about working with an individual, that's another sort of important place to look, just to understand, again, the human behind the service. So, I think, and I've read Sam's About page before, and I won't go through and read it all now just because I don't want you guys to have to sit around and wait for me, but I love how fun and playful Sam's About page is. I think that really helps to show off her personal brand, and I think that a lot of people think that when you offer services, you're being professional, you have to kind of cut back on your voice. That's totally not the case. I think that hinders you more than it helps you. And so Sam does a really great job here in terms of just letting her personality shine through. And then she has like a little FAQ just about like why she named her website this way, a little bit about her digital marketing experience. One thing I might suggest here is to use some sort of like FAQ plugin thing. So it's like the questions have a little bit more emphasis and then you can like click them to expand them. Something like that might be cool. Or even just like adding bold, adding some sort of emphasis, making these headings, just making it a little bit easier to read so people can just scroll through easier. And then also I'd love to see Sam's social links repeated here. Granted, she has them on the side here, but even something like a link to her LinkedIn page, a reminder to connect there would be good. And then she has a contact form, which is something that a lot of people usually miss on their About page because they think it's not a converter. People go to the contact page for that. But honestly, if somebody's interested in working with you, then going to the About page is a level of indication, and then filling out that contact form right there just saves them the step. It might convert them, whereas if they had to click another page, every additional page they have to go through to get in touch with you is a potential conversion killer. So Sam killed it here. I might suggest getting rid of the share this and like this links if that's possible, just because it distracts away from the main content. But otherwise, I think, it's short, it's sweet, it's to the point, it directs you where she wants you to go, and I don't think a lot of changes are needed there. So let's look at Sam's marketing portfolio. Sam has a lot of details here specifically regarding her experience in different fields. I would suggest that you might even want to break these out into their own service pages, or even one service page that goes over all of these things. And then maybe instead put the focus of this page on showing case studies or, screenshots or links and things to the different things that you're involved with. But this logo cloud is on point. Again, I would repeat that on the home page. You don't necessarily have to take it off this page, but repeat it there so that people can see right straight away what you're all about. And then again, she has the contact form, totally necessary for a services page. Maybe not as necessary for the portfolio page, but I don't hate it. I think that it serves its purpose here as well in its current form. So let's look at her contact page just to check it out. I would say maybe personalize this photo. Again, if you can go out and maybe get some headshots, maybe do a trade with a photographer where you're helping them with content, and then they could do some headshots for you, or some nice, big shots where you're in the middle or you're at the side, different things for different purposes so that you just have a repository. A suggestion I would make for anybody trying to build their personal brand, it helps to have some just nice high quality photography of you that you could repurpose on your website, in your social, in your emails. It makes a big difference because it makes you seem potentially, bigger than you are. Okay, so would you like to hear more about my services? Interested in how we can work together? Curious about my favorite kind of local Colorado beer? Submit your information below. So all that's great. I love it. Again, little Sam cheekiness there. One thing I would suggest adding is a subject, and you could either do a drop-down menu or leave it blank, just so people can kind of make it clear right away why they're talking to you. Kind of what the comment place is for, but again, if you do a drop down, then you can kind of steer the conversation in specific ways and know right away what somebody's getting in touch with you about. So then Sam also has this blog component, and the one thing that I'll say to kind of end things off here is just that, if it's going to be on your business website, you want to relate it back to your business in some way. So maybe the positioning is, here are some examples of great content that I've put together that, demonstrates my expertise in travel. Imagine what I can do for your blog, or something like that. Because it's great content. It's splitting the focus a little bit in terms of the fact that it's more of travel niche related than it is in terms of B2B marketing. I think it can still live here, but I think that positioning definitely needs to be a factor in terms of these blog posts. And I think definitely too, it would be cool to see some more B2B marketing related stuff, even if it's just talking about shiny new things, new tools, new trends, and it doesn't have to be super long form content if the idea is just to show expertise, but just chiming in and having an opinion. Also make sure that you're categorizing your blog posts, even the ones that aren't related to B2B marketing, again, so it's easier to find them, it's easier to go through them. So cool. I think that's the main thing. Those are the main things I wanted to talk about here. Sam has a great foundation. As with any website, there's always improvements that can be made. But I think that in terms of Sam getting this up to speed into something that can convert a lot of visitors, I think it's not going to be too hard for her to do. So I am going to go ahead and end this live thing because I can't see if anyone asked any questions or anything. I'm still figuring out the silly tool. But I will look, and if you guys have questions, now or afterwards, I'll make sure to answer them. And if you want to be the next person that I go through your website, it's totally free to do. Just put your website and maybe also your email in the comments below, or you can DM it to me. And let's talk about getting you scheduled on one of my future Facebook Lives.